Hello guys, welcome back to another video. So we're working on the BMW 5 Series today and we are going to be tackling the exhaust mounts. Now, why are we tackling the exhaust mounts, you may ask? Well, for the past few months or so I've noticed the exhaust, especially from the rear, is vibrating quite a bit and it is kind of making its way into the cabin. So it's one of those little annoying things, I guess. And I don't really know if it is going to be the exhaust mounts themselves that have failed. I mean, there is a chance that I have maybe misaligned the exhaust when I've had it off. You know, I've had it off a bunch of times in the past. So it could just be a case of readjusting it, retying it up, and it could be good to go. But as I am taking the exhaust off today, I may as well just go ahead and replace all four of the exhaust mounts, and then I know that they are done, and that's another thing cancelled out. Now, like I said, there are four exhaust mounts. This is them right here. Now, they are kind of all different to each other, but obviously I will take you through the step-by-step process in how to remove the exhaust and then replace each individual mount. So without further ado, let's get outside and let's get cracking. Okay then, so here is the current situation. As you can see, have the 5 Series up in the air, have the rear on some ramps, and I just have the front on some planks of wood just to get it up about an inch or so up in the air. Won't really need to go underneath the front. I just need to unbolt the front mount and also unbolt the exhaust where it goes onto the downpipe. So I think what I'm going to do is head to the front of the car now. To do that first, like I said, there's just this bracket here. Just need to remove the nut. That should then be loose. And then if you take a look over here, there is this mount here, again just held in by a nut. Need to remove that and then it should be fully loose then at the front. Yeah, 14. So the nut to release this bracket here that holds the exhaust onto the downpipe is a 14mm. I need to take it fully off. And then the nut for this rubber mount here, I believe this should be a 13mm, which, yes it is. Nice and easy. I'm actually going to try and lift the exhaust out of here because I need to remove this threaded part from this bracket here, which goes onto the transmission. There we go, that's now free. Oh, I have also disconnected this O2 sensor as well. That just goes up there. Just need to push the little tab in and that can be released. Okay then, so now that we have taken care of the front of the exhaust where it bolts onto the downpipe, we can concentrate on the rear. And I just thought I'd show you something quickly. When I move the exhaust, you can see there is quite a bit of play. And if you have a look down the front, that play really doesn't look like it is coming from the front. If anything, it looks like it's coming from either one of these two mounts or this one here. This mount goes on to the differential. You can see there's a bit of play in that one as well. So then I will remove the exhaust from this mount next. To do so, all you need to do is pry the exhaust away from it. As you can see, it's sliding off. I'm not too concerned about damaging the mount because of course we are replacing it. There we are, that's popped off nicely. Now then, of course, we just have two more mounts at the rear here, but I think before I remove them, I'm going to remove the center support section there. It's just held in by four 13mm bolts, I believe. as we can see, that's that removed then. And now I can just remove the two nuts that held these rear mounts in place. And of course, best to have something to catch the exhaust, because it will just fall on you if not. And finally, what we need to do is pull the exhaust towards the back of the car, because it is still inserted into the downpipe. Now, it would help if you have two people for this, one to support the front, one to support the rear while they're pulling it, but yeah, I only have one person, so I have the rear on a stool and I have a box there just to catch the front, the TPF there. And there we are then, that is the entire exhaust, pretty much the entire exhaust now removed. Now before we begin removing the original mounts, let me just show you how much play there is. That should not be that loose in there. You can see that it is pretty perished, and there has been a lot of movement in this for quite some time. Look at the new one, completely solid. Same on this one as well, and it's pretty much the same story at the front one as well. Look at how much movement there is in that, and this one is a whole lot firmer. And there is of course still the one on the car, which again has a lot of movement in it, so I'm going to remove this one first. I don't think it's just going to pull off, might need to lever it off. Right, let's stop wasting time and let's just cut the thing off. Hey, finally. You can see what I've done, just put a slit in the top, that opened it up, managed to get it off. This thing probably took longer than it took to remove the entire exhaust to remove. Okay then, let's get the new mount installed. I'm going to use some of this red rubber grease just to help it go on a bit easier. Don't think there is a way around. I don't think it matters which way around it goes. Yeah, I think it's all just symmetrical. Okay, let's try and slide it on. That was much easier to install than to remove. Let's see how easy these mounts are to remove. I guess there's our answer. Not too easy. Yeah, came off one way or another. Again, we will apply some red rubber grease. And slide it on. Yeah. If you're wondering what that pop was, as you can see, there is a thin, very thin layer of rubber. I guess it's just when they're made, it's a lot easier to make it like this rather than to actually cut a hole. So you basically just need to break the very thin layer of rubber and it should go on. Just gave this bracket a bit of a clean up. I can apply some red rubber grease to that as well. And we can slide this into position. Should hear a pop again. Or not. So I've also went ahead and done the other rear mount. As you can see, both a lot better now. 2 brand new mounts. Now let's do the final one on the front, which this one should be nice and simple. Just got a 13mm nut. There we are. Nice and easy. And while the exhaust is off, thought it'd be a good idea just to give the tip a bit of a polish up. That looks a lot better now. Let's get this thing back on the car. Okay, so the exhaust is now back in place. And I recorded absolutely none of it because it is a real pain to do by yourself. But we got it done. But I'll quickly explain how I did it anyway. So what I've done is use this bottle jack to just lift up the back box. And then what I've done is went right to the front and made sure that the exhaust was inside of the downpipe. And then what I've done was lined up these rear mounts, just screwed on the nuts finger tight so this end was going nowhere. And then I made sure that the downpipe end was fully secured and the mount was in its hole. Put that nut in, and then I pushed the exhaust into that mount up there, and that's how we did it. And now let's go ahead and fire it up just to make sure everything is okay and we don't have any exhaust leaks or anything like that. Well, one thing I have noticed straight away, the exhaust is honestly so still. I mean, there is obviously the slight vibration, but that is tons better than it was before. I think those existing mounts were in fact pretty worn because this thing was shaking like a leaf before I'd done that. See what we're like under here? Guys, now I don't know if this is just a placebo, it could be, but it kind of feels like there's less vibrations in the cabin now as well. I noticed there was a slight vibration both in my seat and in the passenger seat before, but now that kind of seems to have gone. I mean, obviously there is going to be the slight vibration from the engine, it's a diesel engine after all. But yeah, it definitely seems a lot less in here now. So yeah, I really can't complain. I'm over the moon with that. The exhaust is definitely 100% moving a lot less, and I'm fairly certain that the vibrations inside the cabin are a lot less as well, which is brilliant. Okay then guys, so I think the results speak for themselves really. It's definitely worth doing this job, you know, replacing all of the exhaust rubber mounts. If you have not already done so and your car is, what, 10 years old or so, covered over 100,000 miles, because there's a good chance the mounts themselves will be pretty worn. So if you notice that your exhaust is shaking a little bit from the rear end, please don't clip that up. then yeah, there's a good chance that your exhaust mount will be pretty worn. So yeah, you know, for the sake of how much it costs, I think I got all 4 mounts for around, it was about 30 to 40 pounds, and they were they weren't genuine BMW, but they were OEM equivalent, and yeah, they seem to do the job quite nicely. So yeah, hopefully this video has been helpful. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed it. Please give it a like, leave a comment down below, subscribe if you have not already done so, and I will see you all in that next one. Peace!